All right, welcome to Adventure Guys, the podcast for humans and dogs. I'm Eric the Human.
I'm Nick the Human. And we have a guest.
I'm Sean the Human.
Woo! Sean,
Yeah.
Sean, you've come back and rejoined us for a monumental episode. That is number 20.
I am honored.
That's
Yeah, you know, I think this is our holiday episode.
Yeah.
Oh, killer.
We were meaning to pick a themed holiday episode of Adventure Time to watch, but I guess we forgot to do that last week. So
Here we are. There'll be more of those to come. Yeah. Well, it's good. Sean, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, my pleasure. Stoked to be back.
How are you been?
I've been fine. I've been tired. Well, I mean, Nick knows that I am physically very tired because we've been making acoustic treatment for our house all week.
Yeah, I don't know if I talked about that on air, but I talked to Eric about it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Eric, can you see behind us in the video chat?
Oh yeah, very good, very nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're using burlap. We followed a great YouTube tutorial. We bought everything from Lowe's and Joann's Fabric, and we are knocking it out.
Yeah.
Right on. Did you do like the super detailed, like testing the room with sine waves to find what the problem frequencies are, and then like crafting everything to like cancel out certain frequencies?
No, we did not do
No,
that.
we did it more of just to like be in there, use your ears, and like figure out where the reflections were, and then also like, you know, kind of figuring out like, oh, if your main place for mixing is going to be here, where do you need to treat in order to kill those reflections?
Especially in Nick's room, he had very localized like slapback echo problems. You know, just snapping your fingers, you know, here, there, the other place, like horrible.
Yeah,
horrible. And the other problem for Nick is that, you know, this room is a square, which is not ideal at all in a big way.
Acoustical nightmare.
Yeah,
square.
It sounded really bad, but it's fun to do like a DIY project and use your hands a bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is not, I mean, I guess, Sean, you use your hands for, I guess we all use our hands for playing music, but it is nice. It's like, oh yeah, this is like what a lot of people did for a living for a long time. There is, I mean, I'm romanticizing something I know nothing of, but like it is like, there is some, it does feel good to use your hands and be at the end of the day and be like, oh man, I am sore. Like I am beat.
Yeah,
yes.
I get that. I don't really have anything close to it that I have done recently. I guess, you know, instrument repair is something that I kind of feel like, you know, it's a physical task that's rewarding in of the physicality of it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about putting together like a parts caster. I have
Whoa.
a bunch of old like guitars I could Frankenstein and put in some new pickups and that kind of thing.
Whoa.
That's ambitious. That would be fun. You'd feel accomplished after doing that.
Yeah. I have a little bit of extra money to like buy some nice pickups. It'd be kind of funny to put like some really nice, good sounding pickups into a random Frankenstein guitar.
Yeah. Now I have a question for you. When you're doing these projects, are you a perfectionist or are you like fine with it? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, if you get within like 90%, are you cool? Or you get an 85%, like you're like, I did it. This is fun. Let's keep going. Or does that last little bit nag at you?
I'm definitely not a perfectionist. I think in terms of like instrument repair or something like that, I'm not an expert and I don't really want to be. I just need it to fulfill certain functions, right? So if I'm setting up a guitar or a bass, you know, or restringing my cello, which that's a pain in the ass because it's not a good instrument. I'll cut corners knowingly because sometimes I'm looking for it to fulfill a specific task, and as long as the instrument can accomplish that task and play that thing that I need it to do, then that's fine because I know I'm not going to use it for anything else.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm just curious because like we were in perfectionist about building these sound panels, but then we hung one, and the one right behind us is a half-inch lower than it was supposed to be, and now it's a half-inch lower than the panel that's next to it that's out of frame for you, and that kind of thing is just like, I'm like, can I let that go? And the answer is no, I can't really let this go.
Yeah, I could just see it from the second it was there. It was like totally bumming Nick out for sure.
But then, I mean, there is a degree of you have to accept, especially when you're not professionals or you know what you're doing.
My room is a much less exact science though than your room in terms of the heights and stuff.
It looks great.
Yeah, I've never been super detailed about acoustic treatment in my recording spaces, and I've turned out all right with it, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I think that for this specifically, I think my room sounded terrible. Like I would.
Your room was really bad.
Like if you talked in my room at like a louder volume, you heard the slap.
You just heard flutters everywhere.
And rattle. And then Sean's room was actually sounding okay, but like you're recording drum set and hopefully vibraphone and timpani and.
Yeah, I mean that's the big thing about my room, especially with percussive stuff, is it just activates and overwhelms a room so quickly, and like I play a kick drum in my room, and like the door rattles and like the windows shake and like make all these buzzy rattly sounds and stuff. So I mean, like bass traps and stuff are like super important for me there, but then also just like the flutters off of the ceiling and like all that stuff, I had to knock it all out with that.
It's great. We should get some photos. Hey, if anybody needs like some fun percussion on the record, you should hire Sean because he's got all of it in our house.
Yeah. Let's do it. And now my room is treated.
Yeah. Hell yeah. And if you have any good other DIY projects, you just heard all about ours, just like hit us up. Like there are some fun ones that you can do and make your life better. I mean, this is my first foray into hanging shelves. That was fun.
And Nick hung a shelf. Also kind of on frame in the video right now.
Yeah. It's been fun. There's lots of cool things you can do.
I think I'm going to help my mom put in vinyl flooring.
Oh, okay.
That's not something I've ever done before, but I'm going to learn.
Oh yeah, you will. You'll learn fast.
Wow.
Nice.
That could be cool.
Yeah. Well, this is good. It's good. This is a fun catch up. I'm glad you guys were doing this. Another thing you can do to pass the time and make you feel good is playing games. Or it can make you feel really bad. And in this episode of Adventure Time, we saw all the ways that can go. Episode discussion.
All right, so we watched season 4, episode 14, Card Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
I like this episode.
Yeah, it's
fun.
I almost could have gone for more of this episode. I wish this was like a 30-minute or something.
Right. Well, what I appreciate the most about this episode is that it's small.
Yeah.
They don't go big. They don't, like shoot for the moon on this episode. They keep it localized. It takes place entirely inside the treehouse, almost entirely inside that one room.
Yeah.
And they just play a game. That's it.
And it's fun too because I think a lot of times, so the premise of this episode, right, is that Jake really wants to play this game, Card Wars, and Lainey Rainicorn doesn't want to play it. They ask BMO if they want to play. BMO says, foreshadowing to what's to come, I don't play games like that, right, with Jake. Isn't that what he...
I do not play such games with Jake. I also want to highlight right there that BMO is on a skateboard and he leaves doing a heel flip.
Yeah.
And he says it in an ominous tone, so you know something's afoot. So they get going to play, and it's like pretty clear immediately as they're setting up from the game that Jake is just really into this and is going to be competitive. There's a reason why Lady Rainicorn and BMO are like, no, we don't want any part of this. It's a 2-hour setup to do all the rules. They start going, and it's just like immediately. And Finn is actually like kind of apt at playing it, and it's just really making Jake mad. And I guess what I appreciate too when you're saying about making this a small episode is that I feel like in some times, like, if this, I'm just thinking like SpongeBob or these things, right, where like, maybe they're playing a game and Squidward's into it and SpongeBob's not, like, that's like a thing you could imagine. But like it would be bigger. Do you know what I mean? Like it would hit some sort of crescendo that was huge.
So the way that this episode would have worked in a more conventional cartoon or even something like regular show would be the first half is them playing the game, and there's some interpersonal issue between people playing it, and then some crisis outside the game enters and steals the action. And then in order to solve the crisis in
They have to patch up
some
the
big
friendship.
heightened action, they have to use a lesson that they learned when playing the game to work together. And that's not what happened in this episode. They just play the game. That's it. It's about Jake and Finn's friendship.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Their relationship. I think in this series we see a lot of Jake helping out Finn with an issue, or Jake being a little bit more understanding towards Finn. But this episode was nice because it was Finn like understanding that Jake was insecure about this, and Jake had to work through this, and he was willing to help Jake out, which is nice.
Yeah, especially, I mean, I think some of the early episodes we kept talking about Finn being a jerk. And now we've gotten a couple in a row of Finn being like a good guy. And it was fun. And I mean, it's even fun. It was like a really nice moment when Jake is really upset that Lady Rainicorn doesn't want to play his favorite game. And Finn immediately is like, well, I'll play with you. Even though Finn had just eaten a sandwich and clearly was trying to take a nap and was like in no means like looking to play a game. But it's like, yeah, I'll do that for you. Like, no more moping.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But there's, I mean, you get a nice big sandwich, and the stakes of the game are if you lose, you're a dweeb, and if you win, you're a cool guy.
I love it. It's great. Cool guy.
And Sean, you were pointing out what each of them has to do, right? Like they have to drink that concoction.
Yeah, they have to drink the concoction with the ham chunk juice and the like weird bird butter.
Kimchi is involved.
Kimchi is involved. It's like, what? Kimchi? Really? Like, you're going to put kimchi in there?
And if you win, you're the cool guy. You get to drink Total Soda, which is a great soda brand.
Yeah, when Jake says that the loser's a dweeb and the winner's a cool guy, you think, oh, that's cute, that's nice. But then he starts pouring out those cups and like, oh, there's something more sinister here. Like Jake is getting a little bit mean about this.
Yeah.
But Finn just keeps rolling with it.
He does. And it's also kind of just, I love that was what the reward or punishment was, because that's just so classic, like, kid shit. To drink like the suicide soda or whatever.
Yeah. And also, but not just that, like going back to Eric's point of like, this is just about the relationship and the friendship, this is probably a more holistic episode thought, but like clearly this means so much to Jake, and he's taking it to such like a big level of like, I'm going to make the gross drink. I'm going to like, it's like so dialed in, like, oh, like with the cups and the dweeb and cool guy and whatever. And it's like so intense and like all of that. And then Jake's just like, yeah, I'm just going to do this the way that Finn's like, I'm just going to do this the way that Jake needs it so that we can just like be bros at the end of this. That's it.
Yeah. You think narratively there might be some twist where Finn tries to throw the game and he accidentally winds up winning.
Yeah.
But no, that doesn't happen.
Or what I thought was going to happen is, so yeah, like what they're getting at is that it's getting crazy. Finn's like, I gotta go to the bathroom, finds BMO, and it's like, BMO, what the hell's going on? And BMO
chop.
Yeah, BMO. Yeah, so trying to find BMO falls out of the sky, and then says,
he's like, BMO chop. If this was a real attack, you'd already be dead.
Yeah. And he's like, what happened? And BMO says like he beat Jake, and Jake gets really depressed for a long time if he loses card wars. And Finn was like, well, I did this, so I played the game so I wouldn't be depressed. So then anyway, whatever, they go for it. But what I pictured, because Finn's also competitive and Finn was good at the game, is that he would try to throw the game to help Jake, which is what BMO suggested. But then I thought he would get, like, Jake would just piss him off so bad that he would just get into it and then like win.
Yeah.
That's kind of one of the things I was expecting.
Yeah, and then they'd have to work it out after Finn wins.
Yeah.
Like, in the aftermath of that, like Jake is feeling down. But no, Finn actually loses, and he drinks the dweeb juice and seems to like brush it off like, oh, this is pretty good. And he tricks Jake into drinking the dweeb juice also. And that was
And then I love that the ending shot is just they're both drinking the dweeb juice back and forth, just like, haha, yeah, dude. Ha, heck yeah. And it's just like, all right, we're bros. This is fun. We're like on the same level here.
Yeah. And I mean, it is nice, and it's kind of cool. I mean, what do you guys think? Like, if this was a real life situation and your friend was running the game, you throwing the game or like gingerly losing while still being engaged, that might be the best way to handle the situation, right?
It might be the best way to handle the situation, but also it's like sometimes it might be like if Jake were to, that could be dicey, because if Jake was like figured out that Finn was throwing the game, he'd be like, hey, you're not taking this seriously or whatever, or like play the game for real, and then that could be its own dicey
know.
debacle.
It really could. I have a question. Have you guys ever played? Do you have any strong memories of playing games like this and somebody being too competitive or
Me
freaking out?
in our childhood playing Monopoly.
You do. You remember yourself getting too worked up?
Yes. I always tried to buy the orange corner of Monopoly, so you like go past go and you go past jail, and then the last three spaces before free parking were all orange, and I always tried to buy those, and then other people would buy them, namely you, because you knew I wanted to, and then you like, I got here first, I'm gonna buy these things. I'd be like, no, you know that's my plan, rah! And then like I'd get like really pissed off. Yeah. I think that's probably why we stopped playing Monopoly as a family. I got real bummed out on Monopoly a lot.
We were all kind of competitive, I think, our family at Monopoly.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I used to play a lot of Monopoly too. You know, I really was into, I still am into tabletop gaming, and like, you know, card games like that too. You know, when I was into Pokemon, I was in like a Pokemon card league, right? Like every Friday afternoon, you go to the local comic shop and play against, you know, all the kids in town and the next town over, and like you get stamps for every win you get collected in your book, and then you get, you know, prize cards and stuff like that. Like I was competitive. Like I loved that shit.
That's awesome.
And yeah, we played a lot of other tabletop games, and this was, you know, this point in like childhood, right? Like middle school years, right? Like the internet was like starting to be a thing, but it wasn't somewhere you could spend all of your time.
Yeah.
And
no, you check in every once in a while, and you'd get bored of it after like an hour and change or something.
Right. So like there was still like Nintendo to play, but one of the kids in our neighborhood that we hung out with a lot, his mom wouldn't let him play video games.
Wow.
So we wound up playing a lot of board games, a lot of Monopoly, and then we moved on to like Settlers of Catan.
Yes.
And we played Risk and like all sorts of tabletop games.
Mm-hmm.
This was like prime middle school years, like way to like hang out and kill time. We never played like Magic or Dungeons and Dragons or anything like that, but a lot of like regular tabletop gaming.
Oh, that's fun. Man, what a quaint time before you could spend all your time on the internet. That's almost going to be like a demarcation for all of humanity.
It already is,
yeah.
Right? Isn't it like...
I've never heard it phrased exactly as Eric did.
Oh, yeah.
Have you?
Not the way that he did, but I mean, there is a massive demarcation that people say of, like, I think right now, if you are like... I don't know. There's like a big age cutoff where it's like you cognitively remember life before the internet, and I'm talking like internet 1.0, and then you don't remember life before the internet, you know, and that's like a big demarcation. And now it's like you remember life before social media, or you don't remember life before social media.
Totally, and I guess that's what we're talking about. But it is, but there was like a really interesting middle ground that we had, like as kids,
for sure,
where, you know, the internet existed, but it didn't take up all of our time. Like for a long time. Like even I would even say like I remember being in like 5th grade and the internet being around, and that's like when Napster was starting to happen. And all through high school, like, you know, we had that sweet spot where the internet was around. We could pirate music on Napster and LimeWire, and that's like, and then like by the time I got to a freshman year of college, that's like when Facebook was like starting to gain some traction.
Yeah, I definitely feel like it was still in that era where the internet was a place full of tools, not feeds and, you know, endless time sucks, but it was all just It was just tools, you know.
Exactly. Yeah, it did. The resources weren't there yet to I guess for creatives, I guess, you know, and like as, you know, in like middle school and high school, I was just like getting into the world of music and being a you know, quote creative. But like the resources that we have on the internet now to like get into that life weren't available then.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, even though MySpace was around and Friendster and these things like an AIM, you could spend a lot of time in there, but it was still like, I don't know. I would go on and check my MySpace and then be like, enough of this. Let's go play Risk, or like I'm gonna play guitar, or let's watch Keenan and Kel for the or Good Burger the movie for the 5th time this week or whatever.
And the interesting thing is, I think I would say within the last decade, certainly, but maybe like, 15 years, like since I graduated high school, the tabletop gaming industry and world and fandom has exploded.
Yeah, it has.
And there are so many new and interesting games that are like being released like new and regularly, and that weren't available when we were playing those kinds of games as kids.
Yeah, it's interesting too. Is that's I guess probably the social media world has allowed like independent gaming companies to sprout up and people to talk about these things, which is cool. But it's interesting. Yeah, tabletop is like not. It's like it's not a digital thing, and it's growing in this increasingly digital world.
Yeah, I really love it. One of my bandmates is very much in that world, like, and has been for like years, and like for a time worked at like a huge Austin board game store, literally just like telling people like, oh, his job was just to like know the rules to every board game, new board games, and just like tell people the rules as they were like playing them and stuff like that. And it's
awesome. A lot of fun. I still enjoy it. I haven't, as a touring musician the last several years, had a lot of time to sit down and play board games all that much. But there was a point where like the Holophonics semi-regularly would all get together and play board games.
Oh, that's great band activity.
Yeah, I mean, like, there was a period where like 4 of the 6 people in the band were living in the same house. Mm-hmm. So it was like a little easier to schedule everyone around at the same time. But yeah, at different points in my life, tabletop gaming has been a priority. I would love to get back into it. We should play Card Wars.
I was simultaneously thinking this is a really cool game, because we didn't really even talk about yet the game Card Wars and like what's going on inside of it. It's cool, but the 2 hours of rules and terminology definitely made me a little bit uneasy about trying to play it.
Right. Well, from what I understand about the IRL game Card Wars, it's a pretty quick learn and pretty easy to play.
So there is an IRL version. Was this created by fans?
I don't know what company's behind it, but it's like officially licensed from the show. Like, it's real.
Wow, that's crazy.
That is crazy.
That's cool.
So they're playing it, and it's sort of like a I don't know, like what is it akin to, Eric? You're the board game master. How would you explain it?
I believe it is, at least in the episode, a lot of the actions are directly referencing Magic the Gathering.
Got it.
Now, I never played Magic, so I don't know those exact references, but it is meant to be a send-up of Magic.
Yeah, because you have resources, you have characters, and then you can do actions, which are pretty magical within the world. And there's like all sorts of logic and stuff involved. Right? That's a brief way to describe it.
Yeah. Of course, their version comes with hologram equipped technology that shows the characters walking around the battlefield and doing the actions and commands and stuff. But for all intents and purposes, I think it's a pretty standard, like, middle of the road idea of, like, the deck building card games.
Yeah.
And don't you worry if you think it's going to be just like a boring Magic game, because they Adventure Time eyes this game. And there's lots of fun weirdness happening.
Oh yeah.
On Finn's side, he's got a magical pig, or is it just a regular pig?
No, it's just a pig.
Just a pig.
So just a pig.
A cool.
You gotta floop the pig.
Yeah, cool dog, and an ancient scholar.
Yo, that scholar is tight.
Yeah. And one of the
He's clutch.
one of the first things that he does when it's time for him to battle is he puts the pig in the Fortress of Solitude and has his ancient
Scholar go study.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to send my scholar to study.
And he goes inside of like a cabin.
It's like, wow, what wisdom Finn has that he's like, I'm going to be patient and I'm going to use knowledge and patience as a means of besting
Jake is all
here.
like, you're not gonna attack.
Jake's like,
you're not
brute
gonna use
force.
your battle phase or whatever.
Yeah.
And
I'll do that later.
Yeah. And on Jake's side, he's got corn. It seemed like he decided that corn was going to be his way to go. He thinks corn is really cool. He's got a corn maze. It's going to power his like corn knights or whatever. And he's got another guy that comes up later that's powered by corn. But he just, it's a fatal flaw because Finn's got that pig that can just eat the corn. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
I think the corn is a reference to like one of the more basic kinds of mana in Magic the Gathering.
Got it.
And players talk shit on it a lot, but I don't know what it
That's
really
great.
means.
I when I was watching it, I was like, man, there must have been like a couple writers who were super in on games and had played it and were like, we're gonna, knowing the show, like slide that in there,
Right? I know Magic the Gathering has probably inspired so much art all around us. That game has been going on for a long time. I'm kind of glad that I never got that enticed into that world.
Hasn't it been like 20 years now?
It seems to really envelop people's lives.
Yeah. Isn't that game been around for like 20 years now?
Oh, a lot longer than that.
Oh, Jesus.
I know it predates Pokemon.
Okay.
I mean, I've never played it. I did play Pokemon. Pokemon had so many other avenues of marketing and multimedia to be and have fun with that really seem to, do well. But it does seem like the card game of Magic is far superior to Pokemon, right?
It's definitely a lot deeper. So I never stopped being into Pokemon. I just stopped having people around me that were into Pokemon. So like it wasn't as easy for me to keep playing. It's like you turn like 12 or 13 and then like nobody wants to play Pokemon cards with you anymore.
Wow.
The idea was that at that point you're supposed to move up to the more advanced game. But I never made the leap.
With Inside Pokemon, there was a more advanced Pokemon card game?
No, Magic the Gathering.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Yeah. I mean, we didn't make that leap either. I think we kind of sold off our cards and just went on our way and got skateboards or something.
Yeah, we got skateboards.
Yeah.
I want to throw out there again, the first time we see BMO, he does a heel flip. And then a little right here when Finn reimagines BMO saying, I do not play such games with Jake, instead of doing a heel flip, he does a kick flip.
Yeah.
Those are my skateboard eyes right
yeah,
there.
And I think
noticed that.
I almost wonder if it does feel sort of like I'm not playing games. I'm skateboarding. Like this is my decision.
Yeah, that was definitely a trade-off for me as well. Like around that time when no one else wanted to play Pokemon, that's when we all started skateboarding.
Yeah. And they're also in this, I would say, which was interesting, was they kind of make fun of nerds, which is funny in the beginning. Which I didn't know. Has Finn made fun of nerd people? You don't know anything outside of your nerd world. That was something that was like a quote that Jake said, and I was like, huh. I wouldn't have picked Finn to be someone to kind of rag on nerds, but I guess he does adventure and is pretty physical and stuff. Like he's not into fantasy.
Finn is a jock.
I guess he's just living in a fantasy world. So it's like, why would I need to stay at home and, live in these imaginary places? I guess. I don't know. Finn's definitely not a jock, right?
I'm glad that the concept of jock doesn't really exist in Adventure
I know.
Time.
It seems like it.
I know. I just started thinking through my head, and I was like, yeah, no one's a jock in Adventure Time.
Well, the early episode with like the Vikings that wanna wrestle, and then and then the mountain that's crying because it's so sad that they're all wrestling. Those are the closest dudes that you get to jocks.
What are they want a rough house? Is that
they want a rough
house?
We need rough housing.
And then they start petting each other, and they get all raw.
Oh yeah.
It's just weird. It's like, why are they getting more hurt from petting each other than?
Yeah.
Subverting it. I love it.
Yeah.
And in the massive scale that Adventure Time sometimes takes, they decide they have to turn a mountain 180 degrees, a whole mountain 180 degrees, in order to solve that episode. Which is the exact opposite in scale of this episode, which is just like two dudes playing a card game, and they kind of just play it, and then it's just over, and that's it.
Yeah.
Love it.
It's a cool game. I'd consider playing it.
When y'all are in New York, we should play, or when I get to Texas. I don't know when that's happening.
But yeah, that'd be fun.
We'll play something.
I think it might not be online anymore, but there certainly at one point was a mobile version of Card Wars.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
I don't know if it's still around.
Yeah.
I also don't know exactly how good the real game is or how fun it is. I've seen videos of people playing, and it seemed on the simple side. Like it seemed like a really quick game to jump into and start playing, but it didn't seem to me like the kind of thing that you'd want to like spend hours doing.
Yeah.
I don't know if it really goes like super deep, where people would like really be into it, but
Yeah, I'm really not sure either.
Hey,
I guess we just need to find out for ourselves.
if any of our listeners have ever played this game, please email us at didyousee-the-mail@gmail.com. Hey, which reminds me of a good question. Did you see the snail?
Okay, guess first. Sean, did you see the snail?
Oh yeah, I sure did. Oh yeah. Nick, did you see the snail?
No. Eric, did you see the snail?
Yes, I saw
Whoa.
the snail.
Damn it. All right.
Couldn't let Sean one up me on seeing the snail. I don't think Sean's ever. Wait, have you seen it when I haven't seen it?
Last week when I wasn't on, and I emailed you, or I texted
that doesn't
you.
count.
Okay.
That's not on the official scoreboard.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right. Play my song. God damn it.
Hold on, I have to say something. Nick,
Say it.
this was a classic snail viewing of your. It's the old Nick trope of I start the episode and the snail's right at the beginning, but I'm not really paying attention yet. It was one of those where it's just like the snail was right up top, and you were like, yeah, you were somewhere else.
Or I was like, oh shit, I gotta write down some
You
notes.
gotta get more visually engaged right from the very first frame.
Yeah. I think it's always like a minute in. I'm like, oh shit, I gotta look for the snail now. I forgot.
Because on occasion, the snail is in the very first frame after the theme song. Sometimes. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, we were a few shots in, but it was like
Yeah.
still the first like 30 seconds.
Oh, you know what it was that threw me off? Was the title card is BMO playing Jake in what looks like Card Wars that's outdoors, and BMO doesn't look happy. It's almost giving us, like, showing us what happened to set up the episode.
Oh man, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, and I think I got excited about that, and I started writing it down.
Well, I interrupted.
All right.
I interrupted you. Let's hear that song.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, here's the congratulations, Eric, with the remix edit featuring congratulations, Sean.
Oh, no. One second, I'm sorry.
Congratulations, my friend. Saw the snail and I can't even begin to pretend to know where the guy was. Not till next week comes. Yeah, both of you. Yeah, Eric and Sean. You're the champion.
Woo!
There you go. There
All right,
you go.
good game of Did You See the Snail?
Mm-hmm.
Time for Miscellany Mania.
It is, indeed.
Let's do it.
There's things you may not know. Those Eric and Nick will show you all the trivia
Eric, you got any in the old hopper? The old trivia hopper.
I don't even have anything.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like so much of like what would be fun trivia about it we've talked about, which is that it's a real game that could exist and that people have played. and the references to Magic.
Yeah, the wiki, like, it outlined the specific references to Magic the Gathering, but they don't mean much to me, seeing as I've never played it. So
yeah. We did get an email from our friend Wilson, who we've talked to.
All right, well then let's play some Did You See the Mail?
Oh,
Mail. Mail.
Wow.
yeah.
I'm so stoked I just heard that.
I love it. I want to hear that. I want to hear that theme song more. Please send us more mail. Did you see the mail at gmail.com? But anyway, this was some helpful mail that I guess should have been obvious. Did you see this email, Eric?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So
it was helpful.
Yeah, it was helpful. We've been talking about a lot how the credits for the show will be off. Like, we'll watch one episode and the credits roll, and it's like they're listing characters that weren't in there, and they're not listing characters that were in there, and it's like, how in the hell? Like, I think you and I, Eric, came up with some whole sort of story or logic as to why. I think I did too. I was like, they must have like given this to like an intern to do, and it wasn't, like they're doing them separately, like, and then it wasn't matched up properly. But Wilson, thank you, buddy, was saying that originally the show was aired probably in 30-minute blocks. Thus, the credits at the end would have to encompass both episodes that were shown during that 30-minute block, and that would explain why then those credits would be attached now to two different episodes, and one of those episodes it wouldn't correlate, right?
Yeah, that is extremely insightful, and honestly not something that I would have ever thought of, because when you think about these kids shows that were aired like 2 11-minute episodes at a time to fill a half-hour block,
yeah,
like I think of like the Nickelodeon shows from the 90s, stuff like that, where it was less common that you would see a standalone 11-minute episode,
mm-hmm.
which is pretty much the standard for like current cartoon airing.
Yeah.
What I believe anyway. But when you look at those old episodes of like the Nicktoons and even some other earlier Cartoon Network shows, you see them listed on their episode lists as like double, and each title will be 2 titles in one with like a slash between them or something like that.
Right.
And like that's how it's organized on streaming services. So I was.
It makes
just
sense.
assumed...
I remember watching the Nicktoons too, and I was like, when you're like in the throes of watching cartoons as a kid, I remember learning like, oh man, this episode's on. That means that the second episode is this one. You know what I mean? And you'd be like, oh, hell yes, I got to watch the whole 30 minutes because I love the second half of it because it goes with this one.
Yeah, I used to always remember for SpongeBob, my favorite episode ever was the pizza delivery.
Of course.
Which was the second half. I have no concept of what the first half was.
No, but I think we remember. We knew.
We knew, and we'd be like, "Oh my god, pizza delivery is going to be on in like 9 minutes, guys."
Which is the one where he sings the song, the iconic Krusty Krab pizza song, which they really abandoned as a menu item at the Krusty Krab after that episode, huh?
Yeah. No, don't you remember that was the whole thing where Mr. Krabs he picks up the phone, he's like, "Yup, delivery? Yeah, sure. Pizza? Of course we make pizza." And then it's like, and then someone's like, "We don't make pizza." And then he like magically just conjures a pizza, magically conjures a box, puts it in, and decides on the spot that Squidward and SpongeBob are the delivery drivers.
So, I never really watched SpongeBob. I definitely never like got into it. But I think it was, I don't remember when it started airing, but I don't think I was.
I remember. I mean, I was in 3rd or 4th grade
We were still living in Houston, Texas, Kingwood,
yeah.
Texas at the time.
Which was 3rd or 4th grade for me.
I was in like kindergarten or 1st grade.
Yeah. So we were prime age for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was.
You could have been.
I guess I would have been like 5th grade or something. I mean, it seems like a pretty well-known all ages cartoon, but I think it might have been just like, oh, I'm too old to watch cartoons as an 11-year-old or whatever. I was, as I watch anime now, and I was watching Pokemon.
You've elevated.
Yes.
You were the very thing that was your friends were doing to you. You don't to SpongeBob.
But is it like, I mean, I guess it's like 20 plus seasons. Like, I guess it's a really good show, right? Like
SpongeBob?
Something I should go back and watch.
SpongeBob is still going, and it's the longest running children's cartoon, I think, of all time. The longest running Nickelodeon show ever.
I don't know how that is gonna hold up right now. Like, I have no idea how that show holds up. I gotta be honest. If you've watched SpongeBob, I mean, again, hey, hit us with the email next time. We can keep the SpongeBob going, convo going. But I don't know. I think that the sense of humor was like a really nice like hit when I was in 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, because it's it wasn't like Ren and Stimpy or Rocco, and it was the same. Steven Hillenburg worked on Rocco, and Tom Kenny is Heifer and everything, but that had like some the more subversive like adult things involved, and I think I really enjoyed that. Not like they were kind of putting some innocence back into SpongeBob and sort of celebrating it, and not shying away from it or saying something that was bad, right?
Yeah,
and
sure.
like having all the humor wasn't like jabs or like meanness or grossness or anything. Like, it was actually like sweet and innocent and sort of celebrating that, and I like that. I mean, I guess I always have. I like silly things a lot.
Yeah, I think I like that more now than I did then.
Yeah.
I loved Rocco. Was my favorite as a kid.
Oh yeah,
Rocco was great.
I loved Rocco.
We loved Rocco.
But I think if I went back and watched SpongeBob, I might be more attuned to that style now than I was then.
Mm-hmm.
You know what show I started watching?
What's that?
Summer Camp Island.
Oh, I watched a couple episodes of that.
It's weird. It really made me think about what all ages cartoons mean.
Uh-huh.
And I think there's like a fine line between like all ages and then something that's specifically for kids that their parents could also enjoy.
Yeah.
And at first I thought Summer Camp Island was the latter. Like, I was like, this is definitely for kids. And like, maybe there's like a few winks here and there, but like, this is a kid's show. I don't know if I really want to continue watching it, but I stuck with it. And like, maybe like 8 or 9 episodes in, I was like, oh no, this is definitely an all ages cartoon. And I love it. It's
good. The first couple episodes,
offbeat.
I liked it. Like, I was like, this seems like my speed, but then I just like, we started watching Steven Universe, so I kind of put it off to the side, but maybe I'll come back to it.
It's got a couple Adventure Time alumni on that show.
I thought so.
I think Cole Sanchez is a producer and Kent Osborne.
Okay.
So it's got some pedigree. I think things really turned for me the episode where they go to space. It's like episode 8 or something.
Oh, nice. Yeah. It was a cool premise. It seemed like it had some coolness to it. Did you watch the Rocco reboot?
I did. It was awesome.
It was?
Yeah, it hit all the right nostalgia buttons, and it just happened to be very good in and of its own accomplishments as well. Like, it was perfect.
Nice.
Wow.
I'm kind of scared to do something like I kind of want to leave that where it was. You know what I mean? Like,
I know what you mean. Yeah.
I don't necessarily, because sometimes
There's
like
a lot of opportunity there to go wrong.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I think the Rocco special was it did everything right.
Nice. Okay, well maybe we'll watch it. Hell yeah. Well, this is
Word.
good. We got some new things to watch. We learned some things. Thank you, Wilson. Yeah. Well, this is a fun ep.
Send mail. I want to hear that song more.
Yeah.
I could the files in our Google Drive.
Yeah. Oh, we can just listen to it whenever, Sean.
Okay, good.
We got a road trip coming up. Yeah.
All 11 seconds of it. Put on loop.
Hey. Cool.
All right, well, let's pick an episode to
Yes.
watch for next week.
What are we gonna watch next week? What are we gonna watch? It's the episode generator.
Alrighty.
What is it?
Please
Please tell me that we did not get the same episode again. Sean, I think you listened to the app, but last week we got the goddamn same episode we've already got, which you had told me. You're like, Nick, it's going to happen someday. I was like, yeah, but that's way down the line. That's a problem for Nick and Eric to, when we're hundreds of episodes in, and then lo and behold, like episode 19, we're like, oh, we just picked the same episode twice.
Yeah, the probability on that is that would show up actually pretty quickly, I think. Well, it has, so there you go.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Still waiting on the tech specs for Google's algorithm on how they're spitting out these random numbers. Anyway, we got episode 116, which is season 5, episode 12, Vault of Bones.
Ooh, great title.
Wow. That's tight.
Yeah,
Sounds dark.
I don't remember what it's about.
Oh, well,
Who knows?
We're going to find out.
Can't wait to watch it.
Thanks to everybody for listening. Make sure you subscribe. You can do what Eric did as Christmas is coming and take your parents' phones, go into the podcast app, which they probably never use, and subscribe and rate us 5 stars.
Yeah, do it.
Foolproof plan. You should guilt your younger cousin into listening to it too. Just tell them it's the coolest shit you ever heard. And they're dweeb if they don't listen to it, and they'll be a cool guy if they do. Yeah.
Tell them that winners listen to this podcast.
Winners.
Okay.
All we do is win. Yeah. And thanks everyone who has been listening. Thanks, Wilson, for sending that in, and all the consistent listeners we got out there right now. It's really fun. Anything else to add, Eric?
I think that's it. Good app, guys.
Yeah, that was fun.
Great app.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, peace out, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.